She's got the looks, the money, and the fans, just like her famous sisters. But Kendall Jenner is still somehow the odd one out among the Kardashian Jenners. Just a couple of years ago, Kendall was the highest paid model in the world. But the fans are now speculating that Kendall is past her prime and claiming her modeling days are over. In fact, some people are even saying that once Keeping Up with the Kardashians ends, no one will even remember Kendall Jenner. Besides constantly being called the black sheep of the family, Kendall has also been missing from the fashion runways lately. So how did Kendall lose her supermodel status? And what does the future hold for her once KUWTK is over? If you've been following KUWTK from the start, you know that Kendall always looked like the odd one out among the Kardashian-Jenner clan. Starting with the obvious, Kendall's tall and slender figure definitely stands out in a family full of curvy girls. In a last year's interview with The Telegraph, Kendall said that growing up, she always compared herself to her sisters because her body was different. The model said, "Growing up being this little twiggy girl, I saw my sisters and always thought, oh no, am I supposed to be more sexy like them? I almost felt like I didn't fit in for a part of my life." And while her sisters were into glitz and glam from a young age, Kendall always felt more comfortable in casual clothes. She told Harper's Bazaar, "I was a huge tomboy. I had a phase where I wore boys' clothes. I was always hanging out with guys. I've always connected with guys more. I've always been the different one." Kendall also added that while she likes being a girl, she's never been into girly stuff like her sisters, and added, "I think I get that from my dad. I'd say I'm more of a Jenner than a Kardashian." But Kendall's natural beauty and statuesque figure started to pay off once she decided to pursue a modeling career full-time. Kendall signed her first modeling contract with Wilhelmina Models at age 13, and after several successful commercial print campaigns, she made her runway debut at the Sherry Hill Spring 2011 fashion show in New York City. But Kendall's career really started to take off after she was signed with the Society Management in November 2013. Her first bookings with Society Management included some of the biggest names in the industry, such as Marc Jacobs, Givenchy, Chanel, Fendi, Bottega Veneta, Balmain, and Dolce & Gabbana. And after she posed for the cover of Love magazine's August 2014 issue, Kendall was proclaimed the new it girl of the fashion world. While Kendall quickly became one of the most sought-after models in the industry, working with virtually every major designer, she also started to draw criticism for her stiff runway walk. After Kendall appeared on the 2018 Victoria's Secret show runway, Twitter had a lot to say about her uninspiring walk. One user wrote, "I'm not even joking or exaggerating, but I literally walked to the fridge in the middle of the night the same way Kendall Jenner does on the runway." Another person said that after watching the Victoria's Secret show, she realized Kendall Jenner is not a true supermodel and is simply a spoiled brat that has capitalized upon her family name at the expense of other talented models. Fashion fans were also saying that there was nothing special about Kendall and that she looked just like every other ordinary white model. Kendall's awkward runway walk and plain looks led many to believe that the only reason she made it big in the modeling industry was because of her famous family. The backlash reached a boiling point after Models.com included Kendall and sisters Gigi and Bella Hadid in their list of supermodels, alongside some legendary names such as Adriana Lima, Doutzen Cruz, Letitia Casta, and Natasha Polly. Twitter was abuzz with comments about how Kendall will never be a supermodel, and the fans were saying that she was only being picked for runway shows because of her influence on social media. A lot of people pointed out how Kendall just isn't in the same league as supermodels of previous generations, and one Twitter user said, "They had real supermodels before social media. The likes of Kendall and Bella will never top Kate Moss, Gisele Bündchen, Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Adriana Lima, Claudia Schiffer, Miranda Kerr." To make matters worse, Kendall decided to defend her title and claimed that she actually works just as hard as the original 90s supermodels. Kendall told Harper's Bazaar, "A lot of people are like, oh, it's so much easier now because you have Instagram. You don't even need an agency anymore. But that's just not true. I still had to go to all the castings. I still had to go meet all the photographers. I still had to do all of that to get to where I am now." The model went on to say that her schedule was exhausting and added, "We don't work any less hard than the 90s models did when they were young." But Kendall's comments didn't sit well with the fans, who said the original supermodels never complained about their work, even though most of them came from nothing, while Kendall already had a huge platform when she started. And it's not just the fans who criticized Kendall's supermodel title. After one of the original supermodels, Janice Dickinson, was shown a picture of Kendall on The Tomorrow Show with Kevin Undergaro, she said, "Give me a break. You think that's a supermodel? That is not a supermodel. She can't beat me. She can't. Apples and oranges." Victoria's Secret veteran Adriana Lima also threw some subtle shade at Kendall when she said Kendall's Fashion Icon of the Decade award doesn't mean anything.
It's just a trophy, it doesn't mean anything, I mean, I'm happy for her, but, everyone has their own space in the business.
Yeah. Even iconic designer Calvin Klein said that if it had been up to him, he wouldn't have picked Kendall to star in his brand's underwear campaign. The designer said that it is disappointing how nowadays models get paid based on the size of their social media following, and added, "They're booked not because they represent the essence of the designer, which is what I tried to do. They're booked because of how many followers they have online. I don't think that, long-term, is going to work." And while you could argue that Kendall didn't give herself the supermodel title, she did make some other controversial comments about the modeling industry, which came off as privileged and entitled. In her November 2018 interview with Love magazine, Kendall was quoted saying, "Since the beginning, we've been super selective about what shows I would do. I was never one of those girls who would do like 30 shows a season or whatever the F those girls do." Both fans and other models immediately called out Kendall on her snobby comments and pointed out how the majority of aspiring models don't have the luxury to choose which shows they want to do. Russian top model Daria Strakis clapped back at Kendall on Instagram and wrote, "Whatever the F those girls do is do their very best to make their way up and try to make some money so that they can provide for themselves and their families." American model Teddy Quinlivan also put her 2 cents in and told Kendall she should try and uplift other models who weren't so fortunate to come from a rich and famous family. Teddy wrote in her IG story, "Models don't just come from Calabasas. They come from Somalia, the Siberian tundra, a rural village in China, a trailer park in Tennessee. Making disparaging comments about your peers doesn't lead to growth or unity, which our regulationless industry desperately needs." Kendall later backtracked on her comments and claimed that the quote was taken out of context, but that did little to convince people she wasn't acting like she's above everyone else. So is this why Kendall has been MIA from the runways over the past couple of years? Has the fashion industry got tired of her? In 2019, Kendall walked just 3 runway shows, which is extremely odd for someone who is hailed as the supermodel of the new generation. And considering other controversies Kendall's been involved in, it's no wonder the fashion industry is reluctant to work with her. Just take her Pepsi ad, for example. For some strange reason, Kendall chose to star in a tone-deaf campaign that almost ended her career. In case you forgot, the infamous Pepsi ad showed Kendall handing a can of Pepsi to a smiling police officer in the middle of a protest. The ad, which was later pulled by Pepsi, was harshly criticized for being tasteless and insensitive, and even Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., slammed the ad with a sarcastic Twitter post that read, "If only Daddy would have known about the power of Pepsi." But will these and other questionable choices Kendall has made over the past few years lead to her downfall? Though Kendall is undoubtedly doing better than most, money-wise, she's actually the poorest one among her famous sisters. While her younger sister Kylie is a near billionaire, Kendall just doesn't seem to be as hustle-minded as her sisters, and is reportedly worth only $30 million. To put things into perspective, Kendall's half-sister Kim apparently makes a whopping $1 million per just one Instagram post. As for her private life, things aren't going that great for Kendall either. The model has been linked to multiple men, mostly NBA players, over the years, but she hasn't actually had a steady relationship. And it seems like the fans are now turning on Kendall too. One person on Twitter even said that Kendall has 0 redeemable qualities, that she's mediocre at best at both editorial and runway, and has no versatility or talent and an ugly, boring personality. All of these controversies surrounding Kendall have led some fans to proclaim that the era of Kendall Jenner is officially over. But I want to know what you think. What does the future hold for Kendall? Will she even still have a career after Keeping Up with the Kardashians is over? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below.